Hey guys, welcome back to The Occasional Angler. We do tips, trips and advice for all you anglers out there who are born to fish but forced to work. So this is a video which I've been meaning to do for some time now. Basically back in 2011 I went on a trip around the world. I gave up my job and became a professional angler, and I filmed a television show for the Discovery Channel called Rod and A Rucksack, which was an adventure fishing show. So it took me all over the world. I caught some amazing fish. So I thought I'd do a rundown of the top 5 catches on Rod and A Rucksack. Coming in at number 5, we went fishing for TAIMEN, giant TAIMEN over in Mongolia. We travelled by horseback all the way up to the border of Siberia, at which point we floated down the ONON River and we fly fished and spin fished for TAIMEN, which is a giant landlocked salmon. We'd spent several days going down the river, seen a couple of really big TAIMEN, like a couple maybe into the 40-pound region, and we got to this big log jam, and I still hadn't caught a really big TAIMEN, and so typically I went away from the cameras and I went over to this log jam, and I had my spinning stuff, and I thought, maybe I'll just give it a try here. So I fished it, didn't catch anything, and I thought, you know what, I'll put a soft plastic on and we'll go right down to the bottom of the log jam. I just thought, I'm going to lose this lure, there's no way it's coming back out. Let it go all the way down. The second it touched the bottom, immediately I caught a huge TAIMEN, which came in at about 30 pounds. Obviously the cameras weren't there and they came running when we caught it. Strangely enough, I cast straight back to the same spot and caught another TAIMEN, which was probably about 15 pounds. So it was a really amazing experience, really lucky. One of the very first trips we did was over to Canada, and we travelled all the way up to the Haida Gwaii, which is the Queen Charlotte Islands just north of Vancouver. We went Chinook fishing there, and giant king salmon. We had been plagued by this seal, which had been sort of hanging around by the boat and eating all of the fish and grabbing hold of them. But eventually it let us be, and we were trolling a little herring, and I hooked into a huge salmon. First really big salmon I'd ever caught, and came in and it was 30 pounds. I was absolutely amazed. Such a beautiful place. I'd love to go back there again. And subsequently we went on to the Fraser River and we went sturgeon fishing. So coming in at number 3, I've got a giant MAURI wrasse. Now this fish is one of those alien fish. It looks so weird that you almost don't recognise it as a fish. We're out filming for giant TREVALLY on the Outer Barrier Reef in Australia, northern Queensland. We'd flown all the way out to Magnetic Island, and we then motored for a day right out in some very remote waters. And we were actually fishing inside the reef, so the barrier reef was probably 100 yards to our left, and we were actually inside the reef, so over some shallows where there were some bommies, which are coral rocks, and the guys were saying if we catch a giant TREVALLY in there, it will be huge. Well, I didn't catch a giant TREVALLY, I caught a giant MAURI wrasse, which proceeded to run off with my lure. I couldn't stop it, there was nothing I could do, and it ran straight into a bommy, and I thought, oh well, that's it, it's gone. But luckily our guides, who are very dedicated, jumped over the side of the boat, swam out, got it out of the rock hole for me, and we landed it. And he was saying that size MAURI wrasse, it would be the equivalent of catching a 600-pound blue marlin. It's a very rare fish, beautiful fish as well. I was in absolute awe of that fish. Coming in at number 2, the second part of our journey in Canada, we went down to the Fraser River and to a place called Chilliwack, and we fished out of Chilliwack for a week, and we had been catching sturgeon all week, but we hadn't broken anything much above the 100-pound mark, which was still an amazing fish. But we went out, and one of the last days, and we hooked into an absolute monster. And it was so big we couldn't even get out of the water. In fact, you're not supposed to get them out of the water when they're that size anyway. But we got it up on the bank and it was like a crocodile. I mean, one of the biggest freshwater fish I've ever seen. A 300-pound sturgeon, absolutely amazing. A fish of a lifetime, really a fish of a lifetime. I can't see myself catching a bigger freshwater fish ever. So, it comes to my absolute top number one fish from Rod and Rucksack, which would be, drum roll, the giant trevally in northern Queensland on the Great Outer Barrier Reef. So we had been fishing for several days and we were outside the reef, and our guide said, look, he had been looking under the water and we got what he called a mobile bommy. Now a bommy is a coral rock formation, and mobile bommies were basically a term they were giving to big schools of giant trevally. They hadn't been witnessed anywhere else in the world. In fact, it was a complete phenomenon. And we came across one of these mobile bommies which probably had several hundred giant trevally in it. And of course, within that group there were some monsters, and I hooked into one of them. It was possibly, in fact, I can honestly say it was one of the most grueling fights with a fish I've ever had, and at the end of it I was near exhaustion. We were fishing extremely heavy drag settings, and the fish took me on a merry dance. I could hardly raise my arms, and the idea of picking that thing up after the fight was, it almost broke me, to be honest. I nearly got pulled off the side of the boat as well. So an amazing experience. That was definitely my top catch on Rod and A Rucksack. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please like and subscribe. I upload videos once a week, and so if you subscribe, you'll get notified of new content. And until next time, best of luck with your own fishing adventures.